In this video, we'll begin setting up our new WordPress custom theme. Okay, so I'm just where we left off in our last video when we changed this define WP underscore debug from false to being true, which will turn on our debugging comments in WordPress. So you'll want to make sure that that's turned on. And then I'm going to switch from working out of our root WordPress installation folder to going to our themes folder. So I'm going to choose this drop down menu and come to open folder. And right now I'm just in that root directory wherever we installed WordPress. And I'm going to come into WP-content, which if you aren't familiar with WordPress's files, everything outside of the WP-content folder is the core WordPress file system. So we don't ever want to modify that because it's going to get overwritten during an update. So we want to make sure everything's in our content folder. So I'm going to switch over to that. And you can see we have our plugins folder, which is where all of our plugins go, and then we have our themes folder where all of our themes go. So we want to be inside of this themes folder since we're creating a custom theme. And right now you can see all of our default themes installed. So just to show you what this looks like, I'm going to open the browser window, and I'm just on my WordPress dashboard. And I'm going to come down to Appearance and come down to the Manage Themes page. So I can just click on Themes, and it's going to show us all of the installed themes on our WordPress site. So by default, with a new installation, it comes with a couple different themes. These are the default WordPress themes, and they're generally named after the year they're created. So we have a 2014 for 2014, 2015 for 2015, and then the current year right now is 2016, so we have the 2016 theme, which is active by default. So you see we have no other themes, so by the time we're finished setting this up, we should see our custom theme appearing in this folder. So I'm going to minimize this. You can see all of those themes have their own folder, and so we want to create our own theme folder. So I'm going to create a new theme, and then we just want to give it whatever string of text we want to identify our theme with. So I'm just going to call it Glass-i Creative and click create, and then it switched to that Glass-i Creative folder. So I just want to press open, so now that's our working directory. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close that file that was open. Now we just have our blank directory, and we want to create two files in here, which are the two required files for a WordPress theme. And the first one we want to create is going to be style.css. And if you remember in our first module, I mentioned that style.css in a WordPress theme, it looks for that in the main root folder, which might be a little bit different than we're used to. Maybe we usually put it in a styles folder or something like that, but we want to put our main style sheet in the root directory, just like we are here. And if we added any additional style sheets, maybe for a specific page or module or anything we have use for that for, we'd want to create a styles folder and add it in there. So now we have our style sheet, and I want to create one more new file, and that's just index.php. And if you remember in our last module, I mentioned that index.php is the most generic theme template, and it's what WordPress looks for if it can't find any more specific template. So it's really important that we always have this in our WordPress theme, the only required template theme. So we're going to leave this blank for now. I'm going to switch over to style.css because we need to add a special comment in our style sheet so WordPress will recognize our theme. So just to show you an example, I'm going to open a style sheet from one of the default themes. So I'm going to come up here to open, and I'm going to make sure I'm in that themes folder, so I'll just show you how to get to it once again. This is my root directory. We want to come into the WP content folder, into our themes folder. You can see this directory you just created, and I'm going to open up 2016, the most current default WordPress theme, and we're in the root theme folder, and the style.css main style sheet should be right here in the root. So you can see it right here at the bottom. So I'm going to press open. And just as a side note here, If you want to see an example with kind of best practices or an idea of how to set up a specific template file or a theme file, then you can always go into the WordPress default theme, and they follow best practices because it's made by WordPress, so you can get a good idea of how you might set something up. So just to show you an example of what this comment looks like, they add a lot of different fields, and not all of these are required, but you can see we can add things like our theme name. If we were uploading this to the WordPress theme directory on wordpress.org, we could add it there, author URI, a description. We could add tags, so if this were in the theme directory and people could install our theme themselves, we wouldn't add tags so they can search for it by certain keywords. But this is just a custom theme we're creating for one company, and we're installing it ourselves, so other people aren't going to be able to download it. So we don't need all of this in our theme, but just so you get an idea, we're going to come over now and create our own comment like that in our style sheet. So I'm just going to create a multi-line comment here. And the first thing I'm going to do is give my theme a name. So I'm going to say theme name, colon, and then I'm just going to call this Glasseye Creative Custom Theme. And then we're not adding it to the WordPress directory, so I don't need to give it a URI or a URL. And we could say the author, so you can put your name. I'm going to put my name, whatever you want. And then I'm going to give it a description. So I'm going to say that this is a custom theme created for Glasseye Creative. And then if you wanted to add anything else you can, I'm just going to give it a text domain, which is a little string identifying our theme. So I'm just going to call it Glasseye Creative. And then I'm going to get rid of these extra spaces and just press save. And then now we can switch over back to our dashboard. And then I'm going to refresh this page. You can see we have our default themes. So I'm going to hit Control-R to refresh our page. And now you can see we have our custom theme showing up here, just like we called it in our theme name in our style sheets, calling it Glasseye Creative Custom Theme. So very, very cool. One other thing you might notice though is that it's showing kind of that default transparent background that looks kind of like a checkerboard. And if we want a picture of what our theme looks like, we need to add a special file to our themes folder. So I'm going to minimize this, and what I want to do is I want to add a file to my theme. So I'm going to come in here to my themes directory in Glasseye Creative. So now I'm just in the root directory, and I'm going to drag this file. It's in your course file, so you can add it too. It's just called screenshot.png with a capital S. And WordPress is going to look for this file and use it as that thumbnail. And just a note here, it can't be larger than 1200 by 900, and that's the size of mine. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize my Finder window and come back to our WordPress dashboard. And now if we refresh this, you can see it's using that screenshot.png to identify our theme. So really, really cool. Our theme looks nice and legitimate right alongside of our other official WordPress theme. So awesome. We've successfully set up our theme, and in our next lesson, we're going to continue to set it up by adding our styles and also setting up index.php.